Imagine a city where the subway collapses under the weight of millions, bridges crumble, streets are overflowing with traffic, and yet somehow life keeps moving. People still go to work, kids still go to school, businesses still operate, and the city hums along like nothing's wrong. These cities are broken in almost every measurable way, and yet they somehow still work. A broken city is one where the infrastructure, social systems, and environmental conditions are all stretched to their limits. These are places where, by conventional wisdom, life should be impossible, or at least miserable beyond measure. And yet somehow, millions of people manage to survive, adapt, and even thrive in these conditions. Take New York City, for example. The city is a marvel of chaos and contradiction. On one hand, its infrastructure is decades old. The subway system regularly breaks down. Bridges, tunnels, and overpasses are crumbling. The power grid struggles under pressure, especially during heat waves or major storms. Meanwhile, the city has one of the highest levels of income inequality in the country. You can walk from a luxury condo where billionaires sip champagne straight into a street where thousands of people sleep on cardboard mats. And crime, while lower than it once was, still spikes in certain neighborhoods. And yet New York keeps going. This is because it's an economic engine like no other. Wall Street, media, tech, and tourism all keep money flowing, creating jobs, opportunities, and a reason for millions to stay despite the chaos. Cultural life is another huge factor. Broadway theaters, world-class museums, restaurants, and galleries never really close. The city's resilience is legendary. When Hurricane Sandy hit in 2012, flooding lower Manhattan and crippling the subway, the city didn't collapse. Recovery was messy, sure, but within weeks, life partially resumed. People improvised, services adapted, businesses bounced back, and slowly but surely, New York began to hum again. That's what makes it more than just a city. But New York isn't just a story of infrastructure and economics. It's a story of people adapting to dysfunction every single day. Commuters pile into trains that are overcrowded, sometimes delayed, sometimes broken, yet they make it to work. Street vendors, small business owners, and freelancers navigate permits, inspections, and fines while keeping the city alive. The homeless navigate the system of shelters, soup kitchens, and social programs to survive. All of this happens in parallel, creating a web of resilience that's almost invisible to outsiders but essential for the city's survival. Now let's jump halfway across the world to Mumbai, India, a city that pushes human endurance to the extreme. Overcrowding is staggering. With over 20 million residents, Mumbai is one of the most densely populated cities in the world. Local trains operate like living organisms, stuffed beyond capacity, with conductors clinging to doors just to maintain movement. Streets are congested, traffic flows in unpredictable patterns, and business services are constantly overextended. Around 40% of the population lives in informal settlements with limited access to clean water, sewage, and electricity. Dharavi, one of the largest slums in the world, is a symbol of poverty, but also a hub of economic activity where small-scale industries like leather, pottery, textiles, and recycling generate millions of dollars in revenue each year. Mumbai functions because people have learned to adapt in extraordinary ways. Informal community networks provide support for almost every aspect of daily life, from waste management to childcare. Neighborhood committees and local initiatives help residents organize around shared resources. Transportation, chaotic as it is, still moves millions daily through trains, buses, auto rickshaws, taxis, and even motorbikes. The city's economy is a powerhouse. Bollywood produces hundreds of movies a year, the stock exchange drives financial activity, and trade and industry keep opportunities flowing. People navigate the chaos through sheer ingenuity, often creating a system within the disorder that outsiders would never notice. One fascinating detail is that Dharavi is a microcosm of survival. Entire industries operate out of tiny workshops and homes. Families live above leather tanneries, potteries, and small recycling plants, contributing to a bustling local economy. Children often learn trades instead of attending school, not because of neglect, but because survival demands it. And yet, despite extreme density, health hazards, and limited sanitation, the community persists. Mumbai works because people refuse to let chaos win. And then there's Mexico City, a city that seems to exist on the edge of disaster every single day. Built on a drained lakebed, the city is literally sinking in the same area due to groundwater extraction, sometimes as much as 30 centimeters a year. Earthquakes are a constant threat. Traffic congestion is notorious. Pollution chokes the air. The city's geography, combined with rapid urbanization, has created a recipe for dysfunction. And yet, Mexico City works. It has a massive metro system that moves millions of people every day. Despite earthquakes and sinking land, buildings are reinforced, neighborhoods are resilient, and people have adapted to risk. Cultural life is vibrant, with markets, museums, plazas, and historic districts functioning every day. Communities improvise solutions to flooding, traffic, and pollution. People have learned to navigate chaos, not fight it. And somehow the city hums along, a metropolis on the edge, but never falling off. The thread connecting these cities is human ingenuity. Infrastructure fails, governments are overwhelmed, inequality is extreme, and yet, when people are willing to innovate, organize, and improvise, cities survive. New York, Mumbai, Mexico City, they prove that dysfunction doesn't equal collapse. In fact, dysfunction often forces creativity on a scale few people can imagine. Take New York again. Its subway system was built over a century ago, designed for a population far smaller than today's 8.5 million residents. Despite outdated equipment and a funding shortfall, the system carries over 5 million riders daily. Commuters squeeze onto trains like sardines, navigating delays, breakdowns, and delays again. Yet the city functions. Street vendors navigate licensing and inspections while selling food to millions of hungry New Yorkers. Small business owners keep shops open despite rent hikes, crime, and regulatory hurdles. The city survives on sheer persistence. Mumbai offers similar stories. Its train system, some of the most overcrowded in the world, operates with precision born out of necessity. Conductors guide passengers who are literally hanging off the sides of moving trains. People use hand signals, whistles, and informal agreements to move millions every day. The informal economy of street vendors, recycling units, and tiny manufacturers keeps money moving and communities functioning. Even slums like Dharavi are tightly organized ecosystems, proving that survival often thrives outside formal systems. Mexico City's toughness is equally remarkable. Residents build reinforced homes in earthquake-prone areas. Communities develop underground drainage systems to prevent flooding. Public transport adapts to congestion, creating bus and metro networks that allow millions to commute despite sinking streets. Cultural hubs continue to function, drawing tourists, residents, and commerce. People learn to live with risk rather than waiting for a perfect city. And it's not just infrastructure. Social cohesion, culture, and commerce keep these cities alive. Festivals, markets, theaters, and restaurants create life where chaos reigns. Economies keep money moving. Communities organize support, and cultural identity motivates people to stay and rebuild after disasters. In other words, human systems often succeed where official systems fail. What's fascinating is that in all these cities, the problems were visible, tangible, and extreme. Yet the solutions are often invisible. They exist in improvisation, human ingenuity, and community networks. Without these cities would collapse under the weight of their own dysfunction. But with them, they survive, adapt, and even thrive. New York, Mumbai, and Mexico City are proof that cities can operate at the edge of collapse without falling apart. They show that human adaptability can overcome almost any obstacle. Bridges crumble, trains fail, inequality spikes, and disasters strike. But the people find ways to keep the city alive. This is what makes these cities endlessly fascinating. You can look at a map, a news story, or a statistic and think, this city shouldn't work. And yet millions of people wake up, navigate the chaos, and make it through another day. It's messy, it's imperfect, it's dangerous, and it works. And if you thought New York, Mumbai, and Mexico City were extreme, there are cities that take dysfunction to a level that almost defies belief. Let's start with Lagos, Nigeria's financial and cultural powerhouse. Lagos is often described as a city on the edge of collapse. It's home to more than 20 million people, and the population keeps growing. Roads are jammed from dawn till late at night. Traffic jams that would paralyze any other city barely slow Lagosians down. Water infrastructure is inconsistent, power outages are frequent, and informal settlements stretch across the city like a living organism that refuses to be tamed. Despite all this, Lagos works. It functions because of sheer improvisation. Minibuses, known locally as danfos, weave through traffic at insane speeds, carrying millions of commuters each day. Motorbike taxis, called okadas, fill the gaps where buses can't go. The informal economy is enormous. Markets, street vendors, small workshops, and home-based businesses keep money moving and communities alive. Even without perfect governance, Lagosians have created a network of survival that keeps the city breathing. Take the example of Makoko, a floating slum built on stilts over Lagos Lagoon. To outsiders, it looks impossible to live there, yet tens of thousands of people call it home. Children go to school on makeshift boats, fishers navigate narrow waterways for their livelihood, and entire communities organize themselves without formal municipal oversight. It's a city of improvisation, and it works because people refuse to give up. Moving to Cairo, Egypt, you encounter a different kind of chaos. Cairo is home to nearly 22 million people. Its streets are packed with cars, buses, and motorbikes in a constant symphony of horns. Buildings are crowded, often rising illegally into the sky with little regard for safety regulations. Sewage, water, and electricity are inconsistent in many neighborhoods. Pollution blankets the city, creating smog so thick it sometimes feels like the sun has disappeared. And yet, Cairo works. It functions because the people know how to navigate dysfunction as a daily skill. Informal microeconomies thrive everywhere. Street vendors, small workshops, neighborhood markets, and private schools fill gaps that the government can't. Public transportation, including the metro and minibuses, moves millions daily. Communities organize informal waste collection, security, and childcare, creating invisible networks that keep life moving despite chaos. And culture? Cairo is a city steeped in history, art, music, and tradition. People celebrate festivals, attend theaters, and visit mosques and markets every day. Life continues, even if the city itself seems to teeter on the edge. Jakarta, Indonesia, is another megacity that seems to exist in a state of constant crisis. It's sinking at an alarming rate due to groundwater extraction, with some areas dropping as much as 10 centimeters a year. Floods are frequent, often paralyzing traffic and forcing people out of their homes. Streets are congested beyond belief, and the public transport system struggles to keep up with demand. And yet, Jakarta works. Residents have adapted in extraordinary ways. People use boats or makeshift platforms to navigate floods. Neighborhoods organize local solutions to water drainage and waste management. Public transportation, though strained, still carries millions each day. Informal economies, street markets, and small businesses keep money flowing. The city may be sinking, but human ingenuity keeps it alive. Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, presents yet another extreme. With over 15 million people, Kinshasa is one of Africa's fastest growing cities. Infrastructure is minimal, roads are in poor condition, electricity is intermittent, and clean water is scarce. Government services struggle to reach most neighborhoods, and yet the city hums with life. Markets are packed, businesses operate in informal spaces, and transportation systems, chaotic as they are, keep people moving. Residents adapt by creating local solutions like water delivery networks, community security initiatives, and informal schools that allow the city to function. Lagos, Cairo, Jakarta, and Kinshasa all share something remarkable. Dysfunction has become a natural part of urban life, and people have learned to thrive within it. Unlike in New York or Mexico City, where formal systems exist alongside improvisation, these cities rely almost entirely on human ingenuity and community networks to survive. Chaos is normalized, and survival depends on adaptability. Take traffic, for example. In Lagos, commuters leap from minibuses to motorbikes to ferries to reach work. In Cairo, people navigate clogged streets and unpredictable public transit with a level of skill that seems almost like a game. In Jakarta, residents wade through floodwaters or take makeshift boats to reach jobs and schools. These are systems born out of necessity, not planning, and they work because millions rely on them every day. Another shared feature is the informal economy. Across these cities, the formal systems often fail to deliver basic services, so people build their own systems. Street vendors, home-based businesses, micro-factories, and markets keep money flowing and communities functioning. In places like Dharavi in Mumbai or Makako in Lagos, survival and economic activity are intertwined in ways that make formal planning almost irrelevant. The city functions not because of the government, but because its people refuse to stop. Environmental threats are also a major factor. Floods, earthquakes, subsidence, and extreme weather events pose constant risks. In Jakarta, rising seas and sinking land force communities to adapt with local solutions. In Mexico City, earthquake-resistant buildings and underground drainage systems keep millions safe. In Cairo, people have learned to navigate smog, heat, and water shortages daily. The lesson is clear. Where the environment is hostile, human ingenuity steps in. What's astonishing is how these cities manage to maintain cultural life despite chaos. Lagos has a thriving music scene, art galleries, and a vibrant nightlife. Cairo is steeped in history, art, and performance. Jakarta hosts festivals, markets, and ceremonies that bring communities together. Kinshasa pulses with music, dance, and social life. Dysfunction doesn't erase culture, but forces it to adapt and sometimes thrive in unexpected ways. And then there's social cohesion. Communities organize themselves in ways that governments cannot. Local networks handle waste management, water distribution, security, childcare, and education. In slums, neighborhoods run like micro-societies with their own rules, systems, and hierarchies. People rely on each other, creating networks of survival that are often invisible to outsiders but essential to the city's functioning. Even health systems adapt. Clinics in informal settlements in Lagos or Kinshasa operate with minimal resources but serve thousands of people. Community health workers fill gaps, vaccination drives reach remote neighborhoods, and traditional knowledge complements modern medicine. It's not perfect, but it works because it must. The point is simple. Dysfunction doesn't equal collapse. Lagos, Cairo, Jakarta, Kinshasa, and other megacities survive because people refuse to let the chaos win. They adapt, improvise, and innovate on a daily basis. Infrastructure may fail, governments may be overwhelmed, environmental threats may loom, but life continues. Systems find ways to function, and the city keeps moving. These cities challenge our assumptions about what makes a city work. These cities are broken, but they work. And in their dysfunction, they reveal something truly remarkable about human ingenuity and survival.